In 1970, the World Expo was being held in Osaka, Japan, and more than 64 million visitors from around the world would visit the expo from March to September. Now, countries from all over the world had pavilions that featured exhibits and typically live entertainment. Now, while international bands would tour, Expo 70 also hired Japanese musicians to regularly play, including the Japanese band Bluegrass 45. They would play both the American and Canadian pavilions throughout the entire time of the expo. Well, one of the touring artists that Canada decided to feature in their pavilion were musicians Ian and Sylvia Tyson, specifically the country rock band who we're listening to right now, Great Speckled Bird. They came over in June. It included Amos Garrett on Telecaster, Buddy Cage on pedal steel, Norman Smart or ND Smart on drums, and Jim Colgrove on bass. Now, this is some bonus bluegrass trivia. The original pedal steel guitar player for that band was none other than banjo legend Bill Keith himself. Bill also played pedal steel. He would be replaced by Buddy Cage, though, for that tour. Now, Akira Otsuka, the mandolin player with Bluegrass 45, was hanging backstage in the green room and met Ian Tyson. Now, Akira obviously was a huge bluegrass fan, but listened to folk as well and knew who Ian Tyson was. Now, Akira was the biggest fan of John Duffy, who was the mandolin player for Country Gentlemen, and through conversations, Akira learned Ian had hung out with Duffy in Washington, D.C. a number of times. Instantly, Akira felt a connection to this Canadian troubadour. Now, Ian's guitar was also of huge interest to Akira. John Duffy was also a luthier, and John had installed the pickup in Tyson's guitar. Akira got to touch an instrument that his hero, John Duffy, had touched, and for Akira, that was magical. One day, Ian even joined Bluegrass 45 at a rehearsal to sing his version of the bluegrass song Handsome Molly with the band, and that's the version that we're listening to now. Now, it wasn't just one-sided. Ian also got to experience a very special moment thanks to Akira. On a rare day off for Ian, Ian was performing the entire 2 weeks at the expo several times a day, but had one day off. Akira took Ian to Kobe to experience a traditional Japanese tea ceremony, which was very, very special for Ian. A Great Speckled Bird would finish their tour and head back to the US. Now, less than a month later, on July 3rd, Dick Freeland from Rebel Records, the head honcho, and his family came to Japan for a family vacation to the World Expo. But in addition to the expo, there was some business. See, Rebel Records was interested in establishing a distribution in Japan with a Japanese record label, King Records. The head of King Records wanted to take care of the Freeland family, so they contacted Kenji Nozaki, who's the owner of the coffee house Lost City that I talked about in part 1 of this TikTok. Well, Kenji got Akira's brother, Josh Otsuka, to be a tour guide for the family and take them to the World Expo. Josh could speak very good English. Well, at the expo, of course, one of the musical acts that Dick Freeland got to see was Bluegrass 45, but Freeland also ended up seeing and getting a chance to chat with Bluegrass 45 at the famous Lost City Coffee House in Kobe later on their tourist visit. Well, that evening at Lost City, Dick invited Bluegrass 45 to be the first Japanese bluegrass band to tour the United States, and that would happen the following year in 1971. Years and years later, Akira got the chance to ask Dick, why did he so quickly decide to invite Bluegrass 45 to the US? Dick said, well, he'd already had a recommendation to bring the band over, and when Akira asked him who that was, Dick said, Ian Tyson. Stay tuned for part 3, the final chapter on Bluegrass 45 and their trip to the US.